While waiting for the new season to drop, let's take a look back at some of the highlights from Season 6. We kick off Season 6 of Outlander with a flashback to when Jamie was imprisoned at Ardsmuir. Here, there's a division among the prisoners. The Protestants follow Tom Christie, while the Catholics seem to side with Jamie. Christie appears to be the governor's favorite, and they even have a secret handshake of the Freemasons. After a riot results in a young man's death, Jamie meets with the governor and proposes joining the Freemasons. He establishes a set of rules, asking all prisoners to avoid discussing politics or religion, which brings peace to the prison and strengthens his leadership. In 1773, Claire is experimenting with ether as a method of anesthesia for more complicated surgeries. Still recovering from her trauma from the previous season, Claire starts using ether to fend off her nightmares. Tom Christie comes to the Ridge at the invitation extended to those from Ardsmuir, and Roger has invited him to stay, unaware of the turbulent history between him and Jamie. A brief look on Jamie's face is enough for Roger to realize H has made a mistake. Christie brings along a group of devout people, including his son Alan and daughter Malva, along with other fishermen. Bree and Roger take an interest in a widow with a small child and offer to help her build a house. Lieutenant MacDonald tries to convince Jamie to become the Indian envoy. Jamie initially declines, but after learning that the position would go to Richard Brown, he reluctantly agrees. Ian goes hunting with Alan and discovers the luxury powder keg he's carrying, but they are intercepted by Brown's group. Christie gets injured and Claire stitches him up, but she notices that his other hand also needs surgery, which he refuses. Marsali is pregnant with her fourth child and struggles with Fergus, who is starting to drink heavily. Brown's group arrives, accusing Alan of stealing the powder keg and demanding punishment by whipping. Jamie opts to use his belt to avoid leaving scars, something he knows all too well. Upset about this incident, Jamie confronts Christie, who is building a church, and says that at Fraser's Ridge, his word is law. The tension between these two men escalates. Jamie meets with the Cherokee tribe, who ask the government for guns, but H is unsure if that's a good idea, despite being honest with them. They send two young girls to the tent at night, causing quite a stir for Ian. At the Ridge, Malva expresses interest in learning healing from Claire and starts shadowing her. Claire notices more bruises on Marsali, who admits that she and Fergus had a fight and that Fergus' drinking is due to guilt over the attack on her and Claire. Jamie returns, agitated, and after nearly attacking Claire, he asks which side the Cherokee fought for in the war, but she can't remember. He tells Ian about the impending war and expresses worries that those weapons could be turned against them. Bree successfully makes matches but feels somewhat disappointed that no one seems impressed. Roger is asked to officiate a funeral for a newcomer who has passed away. He feels honored to do this, as a way to remember his late foster father, Reverend Wakefield. He plans to continue this task until an official minister arrives. Marsali goes into labor but faces difficulties. Roger goes to get Fergus and convinces him to come back. When Fergus returns, he uses some unconventional methods to help Marsali give birth. In the end, she delivers a healthy baby boy named Henry Christian. However, Fergus falls into depression when he sees his son has a condition they call dwarfism. Jamie visits Christie and suggests the church should be a place for communal worship, not just for Protestants. Christie becomes angry and takes it out on Malva. Frustrated that he can't punish her, he turns to Claire and agrees to have his hand operated on. Ian talks to Bree about the future of the Cherokee tribe, and she honestly shares the injustices they will face. Ian confronts Jamie, saying he has a close relationship with him, and if Jamie doesn't help them get weapons, he will do it himself. After hearing that Ian has a child with his Mohawk wife, Jamie decides to send a request to the governor. Convinced that his condition is due to a curse, a group of teens toss Henry Christian into the river. The kids are scared to touch the baby and lose control of the basket. Roger saves the baby just in time. Fergus tells Claire about a friend, Luke, who had a similar condition and the difficult life he went through before being killed outside a brothel. The boys are brought to Jamie for punishment, and he gives them a choice: touch a hot iron or touch the baby. Bree invents a spinning wheel, and Marsali loves it. She says Fergus promised to stop drinking, but when she gets home, she finds him completely drunk. They argue, and she kicks him out. Christy returns for surgery but refuses to use ether. Surprisingly, this is very painful. Jamie gives him whiskey and reads the Bible to help him get through it. At a follow-up appointment, Claire lends him a book, but when he returns it, he includes a note calling it a piece of obscene literature. By the time rent is due, we see a bit of romance budding between Lizzie and both Beardsley twins. Fergus, drunk, gets into a fight with a rude woman calling his son a freak. Sinking deeper into despair, Fergus leaves to end his life. Fortunately, Jamie follows him and persuades him to reconsider. He reminds Fergus that little Henry Christian needs his father to show him what's possible, no matter the limitations. Fergus returns to Marsali and apologizes. Lieutenant MacDonald comes with weapons for the Cherokee and brings news about the Boston Tea Party. In a flashback, we see Ian's transformation from a Scot to a Mohawk, and he is given the name Wolf's brother. Jamie sends Fergus to do some sales to keep him busy and feeling useful. Before the weapon delivery to the Cherokee, Bree tells Jamie about the Trail of Tears. When they arrive, Ian realizes that there are some Mohawk visitors. Eventually, Ian shares his heartbreaking story with Uncle Jamie. He fell in love with a Mohawk woman named Emily. She chose him as her husband and became pregnant. Unfortunately, they lost the baby, a girl he never got to see. She became pregnant again, but lost the child early. Ian was taken into the woods and urged to return to his people because they believed his spirit could never be tamed by Emily, leading to her miscarriages. Desperate to change her mind, Ian rushes into the camp only to find she has chosen his old friend, Kahiroton. At the Cherokee camp, another envoy named Scotchy Cameron is also there and worries that the Mohawk will ruin his work. When Ian confronts Kahiroton, Scotchy steps in and ultimately challenges him to a duel. After things calm down, Jamie and Ian share a beautiful moment as Ian expresses worries about the spirit of his late daughter, whom he calls Isabel. Jamie prays with him for his lost daughter, Faith, to find her in heaven. Jamie also tries to warn Chief Bird about what Bree has told him regarding their future. Ian brings Kahiroton and his wife, Emily, to the camp to meet Scotchy Cameron, but tensions flare immediately. Emily looks worried, and Ian decides to side with the Mohawk. Just when Scotchy seems to have the upper hand, Kahiroton stabs him. On the way back to the ridge, Jamie doesn't want Ian to become a killer and hands him over to Brianna to find another way, but it seems they haven't found a better opportunity. Lizzie has malaria, and Roger can't help her because Tom has taken it upon himself to assist her in her critical state. We see Tom and Roger talking to each other, and the tension between them is becoming more apparent. Roger notices that Tom has stopped praying and has given up any religious responsibility. These are the main events of Season 6 of Outlander. We have witnessed the emotional upheavals and complex situations that take place in the lives of the main characters. Thank you for joining us for this season, and we hope to see you again in the next videos, which promise to be more surprising and dramatic than ever.